Well, good morning, everyone. It's been 3 weeks today since I had my hair transplant in Turkey, and I haven't really done any more videos since. I've posted a few updates on some of the Facebook groups, but I thought I would do a quick video just to summarize really how the last 3 weeks have gone. So before we start, I'll show you my hair as it is at the moment. So again, we're 3 weeks in. It's, I don't know if you can see that, hopefully it's focusing, but I'm quite pleased with how it's gone. It is starting to shed very slowly. Occasionally when I put my hands through my hair, I can see little hairs, or on the pillow there's a couple of hairs. It's not been too noticeable, but it's definitely starting. So the percentage of what I lose, I don't know. I'm hoping it won't be too bad, but I am expecting most of it to go. So I'm making the most of my hair as I have it at the moment, and it's really strange to still look in the mirror and realise that I now have a hairline. And there's a few things day to day that have changed as well. Simple things like having a shower. I always forget, in a way, to shampoo the front of it, because I forget that there's actually hair there now. So little things like that take a little bit of getting used to, but they're nice things. So if I start from day 3, I think I did a video showing day 1 and day 2 and the beginning of day 3. So day 3 was really good. I went to the clinic and they sat me down for an hour really to talk about the procedure, which I found really interesting. They talked to me about the reason that my surgery was split into 2 days. So what they said to me was that because I was having 4,000 grafts or thereabouts, they split the session up into 4 sessions. So the first 1,000 grafts, they do 1,000 grafts per session. So the day 1 was 1,000 grafts that they extract, and then they implant those 1,000 grafts, and then they repeat the process for the afternoon, and then a further 2,000 grafts on the second day. And the reason they do that, they told me, was to keep the hairs outside of the body for as little time as possible, because what they were saying was that the hair is in fact an organ, and the longer that the hairs are outside of the body, the less chance they have for survival. So I found that was interesting. I was pleased that they explained it. They then explained the aftercare procedure, and they gave me a lot of medication. So they gave me some blood thinners, they gave me some antibiotics, and a course of anti-inflammatories as well. They gave me some painkillers if I needed them, albeit in truth I haven't really, apart from on occasion. So once they did that, they then took me back to the airport, and the airport was quite interesting because I wasn't that self-conscious about it anyway. I was in Turkey, I didn't really know anyone, and it was interesting that I must have seen 5 or 6 other people at the airport who had had hair transplants as well. So it was interesting. Clearly lots of people go to Turkey to get that done, and it all looked good. They were all different clinics as well, and I got chatting to a few of them, and again everyone seemed really happy with their experience. Obviously it's way too early to tell what the results are going to be. So I flew back. The flight was fine. I was a little bit worried about the air pressure and things like that, but it wasn't an issue at all. And I flew into London Stansted, and then I just found, it was late at night, so I just found a Premier Inn and crashed for the night. The next day I had to go back. I came back to Devon, and that was an interesting experience as well, because I was going through the London Underground. And if you're ever feeling self-conscious about the way you look, about what other people think about what you look like, go on the London Underground, because people don't give a monkey's. I was stood on the London Underground, and the train was pretty busy. And my bandages came off, and my donor area looked really, really good. But clearly I'd had some surgery. You know, there were scabs on my head and the rest of it. I didn't see one person look at me in any kind of strange way whatsoever. In fact, at one point I was looking around on the train going, nobody's looking at me at all. Everyone is so consumed with their own lives and how they look and things like that, that they don't take any notice of you, really. Not that it really matters, but it was an interesting observation. So I came home, and then I had to go through the regimen of looking after my hair. So for the first 7 days, I can't have any alcohol. You can't go out in the sunlight for the first 30 days. And I think the reason for that is because your scalp is so sensitive that it could cause damage if you've got the harsh rays of the sun. I mean, we're November in the UK, so you don't tend to get an awful lot of sunshine, but in fairness, it's been fairly bright. So after a week or so, they said that I could wear a cap. But for the first 7 days, I took off work anyway. My routine when it came to washing my hair, which I had to do every day, they gave me a pathanol foam, I think they call it. And it's a foam full of vitamins and things like that, and it helps soften some of the scabs. So for the first 8 washes, they did the first wash at the clinic, and then from washes, say 2 to 7, I had to use this pathanol foam, which I kept on my head for an hour. After an hour, then you would wash it off. Now, what they said to me was not to use a heavy shower head, so where you can't regulate the water pressure. Use, you know, a jug, or you know, if you've got some light trickling water, then that's fine. So on the safe side, I just used a jug over my head and went sort of back to forward. Once you've used the foam, what you're meant to do next is use the shampoo, and the shampoo is really nice. Shampoo smells great. It's a pH neutral shampoo, so it hasn't got any harsh chemicals or anything like that in. And what you do for the first 10 days specifically, until the scabs are removed, is you put this shampoo in, you leave it for 2 to 3 minutes, and you just dab it on your head. So you're not rubbing it or anything like that. You literally just foam it in your hands and then just dab it across your head, and then you just leave it for 2 to 3 minutes. And again, a bit like the foam, you just wash it off either with a jug, or if you've got a low pressure shower head, you can use that. What I found was after day 5, the scabs started to come away themselves. And I shouldn't have really done it, but like on the really edges of my hair, you could see the scabs. So occasionally I would just very lightly just go across, just touching the ends of the hair, not even touching the scalp or anything. And sometimes looking at my hand, the scabs will just come off themselves. I don't think that's advisable, because you could dislodge some of the grafts. I think what they say is that for the first 7 days, the grafts can be they're still embedding. After 7 days, they're normally okay. And I think the way you can tell is that as long as when the hairs come out, because I was quite nervous that grafts were coming out was the scabs were coming out, but what they were saying was that as long as there wasn't any bleeding, then you should be okay. I think it was day 7, the scabs really started coming off, and I was left with a portion of scabs across my hairline, but everything else had gone. So on day 7, I actually did 2 washes. On the second time, I left the pathanol foam in for 2 hours rather than an hour. And the reason I did that was because wash 8 says that to leave it in for 2 hours. And then I used a very light shower head to take it off, and it all came off. And that was a really profound experience, because that was the first time I saw my hairline. And looking back at photos, even in such a short space of time, my face the look of my face, I felt, changed massively. And it was really profound to look at potentially what would be the final result. Obviously, it all falls out, but as it stood at the moment, it looked really good. It looked like you couldn't tell where the transplanted hair was against my normal hair. The only difference would be the redness, and there is still some redness around the scalp, but it really did look good, and I was really, really pleased. I had to sleep upright for a week or 10 days, I think they say, with a neck pillow. That was quite tough. After sort of day 6 or 7, my neck was hurting. My advice would be invest in a nice and neck pillow, because the neck pillow they give you is okay, but it is obviously quite a basic one, and it tends to lose its shape a little bit after a few days. So after day 5, they give you a cream to put on your donor area, which just helps with the healing. And I found that was really useful. Just took the edge off some of the pain, because it did start getting quite sore. I think in part probably because of the way I was sleeping. You know, I was sleeping on my back, so on the back of my head almost from the neck pillow. And so the cream just took the edge off. I mean, I'm 3 weeks in now, and there isn't any pain at the back of my head at all. I still can't feel it very much on top, but the feeling has come back a little bit more than what it was when I first had it. So they basically say that when they do the surgery, they kill the nerves that are in your scalp. So the feeling, the sensation takes a few weeks before it comes back. So the scabs came off on day 7, and I went back to work on day 8. So I was really pleased that the scabs had gone off before I had gone back to work. Now, I work in an office where I'm expected to dress quite smartly. I often wear a suit most days, and I was a little bit apprehensive about going back to work and about the reaction. Now, clearly, you can't really hide that you've had a hair transplant, and I was fairly open with people before, telling them that I am going for a hair transplant. I'm going to Turkey. So some people knew, some people didn't. And so I came back on the Wednesday, which was day 8. So this was, pretty much a week after the surgery. And I was amazed at the reaction I had from my colleagues. Everyone was really supportive. Everyone was really curious about what I had done, how did it work, very complimentary, and that was a really good feeling. And within a few days of going back to work, a lot of people didn't realise I had a hair transplant. And I only say that because I would have conversations with people, and I would almost be quite eager to say, I've had this hair transplant. And a few of the people that I told didn't even realise I had it done. They thought I'd just cut my hair short. So it just, again, shows how little people actually care about you and how you look. You do this for you, and that should be the reason to go and do, or go and have a hair transplant. One thing I would say is during the first 10 days in particular, I used a lot of saline solution. So the clinic gave me a bottle of saline, which I ran out of within a couple of days. I went and bought a saline solution on eBay, on Amazon, which was only about £5 or £6, and it was a big bottle as well. So I've been using that. And in fairness, I've used it since just to help with the itching. I don't have to use the saline anymore, but I do still use it sometimes on the donor area, just to, it gets a bit dry, and it just helps soothe the itch sometimes and just cool the head down. So I do tend to use it. I don't think it does any harm, but I don't think you have to use it once the scabs are removed. In terms of the donor area, it's healing quite nicely. I had to send some photos off to the clinic and the clinic were happy with the progress. So that's good, and I've got to send some more pictures after a month. But we're 3 weeks in. Again, I've not had much shedding. I'm hoping, they say sort of 15% of people don't have any shedding, so it would be great to be part of that 15%, but I don't think I will, in all honesty. So I'm just making the most of it while I can. There still isn't a massive difference between this hair and my native hair. It seems to be growing roughly at the same length. Really pleased with the experience so far. And I think it's good to document the journey. I've been taking pictures every day, and I've just been storing it on an album on my iPhone. Only because it will be nice, if I can keep it up for a year, it will be good to see what the progress is day by day. And then hopefully to share it for my own amusement, but also for other people's information, because I think I had to sort of search quite a lot. There were some really good resources on YouTube and on Facebook, and the groups have been brilliant. But I think to document your own experience is quite a good idea, and hopefully helps a lot of people. Or helps people who are thinking about getting it done. So yeah, that's where we are. We're 3 weeks in. I'm really pleased so far, and I'll try and do another video. I won't do one every week or anything like that, I think, because it would just get a bit boring, but I might do one after a month or two if there's significant shedding, which I'm expecting there will be, and then I'm hoping by month 4 at least it starts getting a little bit more fuller. So we'll see, watch this space, and if you've got any questions about any of this, then just put a comment below. And I've had quite a few questions on Facebook as well, so I'll try and answer as many as I can, and yeah, I hope you found it useful. Talk to you soon.